This is Disclosure Now, a show where we expose the truths that are nefariously hidden from humanity. Today, Arkheim and his partner Kat speak with Matthew Mournian about his book Remember Your Mission. We will be focusing on the aspect of mental health and what a spiritual awakening can do to your psyche, with an emphasis on moving forward and living a healthier life as one's authentic self.
Welcome to Disclosure Now. I'm Arkheim and I'm here with Kat, this is my partner, and we're here with Matthew Mournian. How are you doing today, Matthew?
Boom, what's up? I love how I literally clicked on the link for everybody that is watching. I clicked on the link and the song started and I'm like, damn, it was like I rolled in, and it's like, what? Anyway, seriously, that was really cool. I was about to say, one of those 4-letter words that will literally stop your show like in the first 15 seconds, they say, if you say certain words, but anyway, it was amazing, and thank you for inviting me. So,
yeah. Thanks for being here. Just kind of decided to just do it off the cuff. We talked yesterday, and I really appreciate you just kind of coming here and being here with us.
Thank you. Let me just say that's a really smart way to start a show. I mean this very sincerely. I've noticed over the years, I'm one of those people that thrives on just here you go, boom, and it's slam. They just throw you out into something, and so I don't know. Somehow that model works. I hope that you'll do that with another guest and see how they react to it. But I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw you a curveball there or anything like that.
It was good. It was smart. It's a smart move. Anyway, hello everybody in the chat.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. It's awesome to see you, Aurora, and I'm seeing a lot of other familiar names as well. So today, we're talking about Matthew's book, which is obviously Matthew.
I have it right here still.
Is making the rounds, talking about his book. I mean, that's what we all do when we come out with a book, but we're going to do something a little bit different this time, because one thing that I noticed with this book, and I think it's just a theme in general in this community, it's kind of a part of if you write a book and you're somebody like one of us who you've had a spiritual awakening, if you might pay attention and you'll realize that this is normally an uncomfortable process. This normally isn't fun. It's, there's this idea that you find out that you're some space wizard, super soldier, or you're a mystic, psychic, and your whole life is forever changed. Then you don't have to work a normal job anymore. And that's kind of not really what it's like.
Oh, no, I can tell you that big time. Absolutely not. It's not easy at all. Definitely a lot of growing pains.
Preston is here again. And it makes me feel not good, but whatever. I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, we have a lot of shielding and protection, and we're just gonna keep our arms wide open for all of these strange beings.
I'm his son.
It's okay. What's up, Dad? Anyway, go on. How's it? It's all good.
Well, I kind of wondered about that, but I'm not gonna really pay it any mind right now.
I feel you.
But one of the things that happens when you wake up to this stuff is you realize stuff like some psychotic guy tortured you when you were a child and things like that. So there's things that you realize that that you have to live with, and it's an uncomfortable process. And I know for you, one of the things that sorry. It's just
good. Yeah. Be real.
It's just it's a hard process, and for you, I noticed with your book, you're very something that I think that you did with your book. You know how they say if you read someone's autobiography and there isn't something in there that makes them look bad or makes them look foolish or silly or stupid, it's not a real autobiography, right? You really in here, you kind of really are as an author, as the narrator of your own life, you kind of are very, very hard on yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of have been my whole life. I made a decision when I started to write the book. I was like, I'm either gonna do the cool guy version, and I'm gonna make myself look like a very polished and like together individual. Just seem to have all these strange things happen to them, or I could tell the real version. And the real version was pitiful and it was very sad and I was very broken and there was really no like sexiness or coolness behind it all. And it was like I realized that kind of like in the path of following true authenticity, which is a thing I actually strive for, it has not necessarily served me that well. It's important to mention that. But in striving for true authenticity, I think I had to be as vulnerable as possible. And I think it helped in a way because people are, starting to find the book now and they're like, thank you for putting it out this way because it was not glamorous or cool for me either. And I think also we make many mistakes in that journey. And let me tell you, there's a whole other book coming out full of mistakes. So there's like multiple layers.
Can I just suggest something real quick? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Go for it.
You want to come on here to communicate with me after everything that you fucking done to me and what I've said publicly on my channel about you? You can't find me some other way. You want to come on here in my chat during my show and then act like, oh, sorry, oops, didn't mean to derail your show. Fuck you. It says so much about you. It's so you to be that way. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this all about me. Yeah, you are, asshole. Fuck you.
Nice.
Anyway,
Thanks
sorry.
for being real. No, it's okay. Thank you for being real. I think that's a really good way to honestly just vent the intensity of the moment. And I mean, honestly, let's be real. This dude's really just a troll and he's trolling you so that you will, react in that way. But honestly, I say be real, like be as real as you can. And if it means you have to tell somebody to fuck off on your own live, then I say absolutely do it. And so yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, whether it's really him or not,
Yeah.
it's a troll.
We know it is. How dare you show his face again?
It's all good.
That's the irony here is these people, this is something that we're kind of talking about earlier. Is like they present themselves in their own mind as these big, powerful people that, like, in their version of the story, they were the strong one, they were the mighty one, and they were the ones who were like the heroes or whatever. And like Aquino would be another really good example. Preston's buddy, Aquino.
Yeah.
Very weird to your guests to make the show all about you. Whatever.
It's all good. No, I honestly love it. And like it sounds crazy to say this, but I feel like I'm the perfect person to invite on someone's live and then to have a moment like this because it's like somehow I always operate incredibly well under certain circumstances. And I've just learned over the years where it's like, oh, I'm being called into a situation of intense emotional exchange. Let's fucking roll. You know what I mean? So yeah, stay real, man.
We're going through a lot of stuff together, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the multi-dimensional, multiple timelines. I've been your friend.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way. Let me just say something on this really, really quickly. Because for those of you that are watching, trolls or not, you are also a person that I recognize. I remember seeing you on Journey to Truth a couple of years ago now. And I remember like seeing your face. And I remember, like seeing this individual. And it was one of those moments where it's not like you recognize a person's face or their image. It's like there was a voice and there was some sort of a frequency that came through. And I remember sitting there with my wife Honora and I was like, this guy, this dude. And then I remember you walked up a Journey to Truth and I was like, it's like instantly I felt like I knew you from somewhere in some kind of a way. But then again, I'm really weird and I do that with people and they'll be like, who the fuck are you? So, you know what I mean? It goes both ways. But anyway, go ahead.
Sorry, this is just...
It's all good.
I just had to censor myself.
Good.
I that's the last now. Bashnawa nawa iwe nawa awambawa nawa kawawa anawana eshniwa iwambawa Oambawana ewawana kwakwanoa. Eshniwa wambewa na iwa wambewala. Ewana wanano eshnawa kwambawawa. Awambo eshnawa. Ambana wana washna wale wewangwa. Ewana weshwara waningwengo ewawa. Ewana wana wa ishnewandwa. Awana weshniwa umbwa. All right, and the thing that I was gonna say is like, you know, like about these guys and like, you know, how he's showing up the way he is and stuff like that. They're like fucking cartoon characters, you know what I mean? Like Aquino, he thinks he's like this, he like this satanic priest, spooky guy, and it's like, dude, he literally looks like a fucking like Eddie Munster. Fucking, he's a fucking joke, and the fact that he hurt children, like he thinks it makes him so powerful, but it's like, dude, like that makes you such a disgusting person. Like they have no fucking self-awareness at all, and that's what I was gonna say before I kind of got all up in my head.
As I was saying to him, like the worst thing you can do to people like that is to make them look stupid,
and they
make fun of them,
and
point out how ridiculous.
It's not hard to do. You know, you don't want to know what, and we're gonna move on from this, but they called him the Genius Crapper. That was what his buddies, the nickname for him, because he was on the toilet all the time because he ate gas station food. He couldn't eat real food. I heard a story about how some guy tried to make him like a nice, beautiful meal. Like, hey, Preston, my wife and I, we made this beautiful dinner. And he's like, oh, I don't want that. Give me a Hot Pocket. I mean, the guy's deranged. Nice. Anyway, nice. But
I love it.
So that's one of the things that I want to get back to the subject at hand, though. I mean, he's obviously here to derail things.
Yeah.
Good. I think that through this book you can really learn a lot about yourself.
Yes.
And with her, there was a moment where she was reading your book, and it really, she got brought to tears by it. And if you want to bring that up,
it was that part where you were talking about that that psychic lady who was like your mentor, where she went up to you and she's like, you know, oh, I can see what you are. It's plain as day that you're psychic. And like that was just such a beautiful, touching moment to me. Like I would, you know, I'm going through a process myself right now, and like I would, that just to have the thought of having something like that happen, just it really touched my heart, and it really brought me to tears. And yeah, it was just super duper emotional for me.
Thank you. I mean that very sincerely. Thank you, by the way. Honestly, that it's cool that moment stuck out to you, because that was one of those things that I think for a lot of people will kind of blow past. You know, there's these other pieces or other kind of emotional avenues that people will go down. But for me, honestly, that moment that you described was kind of, well, I mean, not kind of, I mean, it was literally a turning point of my entire life. And it was a moment in which for the first time as a human being, I had been given, which sounds silly. Some people cringe, and I love it when they do. But it was the first time in my adult life or any stage where I had been given permission to actually see myself in a different way. And I know for other people that's like a natural thing, and they, you know, at certain points they evolve into other versions of themselves. But it was as if she sort of reflected something to me that, you know, here we are literally almost 8 years later, and I'm still talking about this person that changed the course of my entire life. And I think part of my intention with that coming was honestly that somebody would find it and that they would have that experience where they would have this moment and they would realize all this crazy bullshit that had gone on in their life was a lot more than just some trauma arc or a bunch of shitty karma, that there was actually this whole other set of skills or abilities or purpose or whatever it was on the other side of that. And I think that's an experience that a lot of people don't get to have. You know what I mean? We live in a soul group right now in which we are subjected to constant divide and conquer, constant comparison, you know what I mean? Posturing in every single direction, battles for information supremacy in every little friend group. And there's very, very few people that are willing to look at those that are trying to enhance themselves and activate and go, you know what? I can actually see something within you. And what's crazy is, I mean, that's literally what I do now. People show up. I mean, literally this time yesterday, I was talking with a person in, I think, the UK, understanding and figuring out, like, okay, what channels are open in your body? What channels are blocked? Which ones are closed? What work do we need to do to open them up? And I think the reality is when people step into that, their lives change, and it's anyway. It's a very, very cool. It's a very cool thing to see. It's a good thing we got Preston to pass out. Maybe he'll shut up now. But anyway, I hope some
just
rest
to have
over there, buddy.
somebody, just to have somebody like
I
look at
love
you,
this guy.
like, not even know you, and be like, I know what you are. I can see it. I can see this talent in you. I can see your potential. Like, that is such a beautiful thing to me. Like, I think anyone would love to have an experience like that.
Yeah, you know what the crazy thing is I've had both the good and the bad version of that in this life. And I know, we're not going to go into details. Some people have heard stories, but I have been one of those people that has had that experience where it's like you will just be doing your life. You know what I mean? You'll be doing you in the most clearest, most natural, normal version of it, not doing anything to anyone. And people will come up and be like, I know what you did, or you're this or you're that. So it's like I've had both of those. I've had other times, which is really bizarre. I've had people come up and thank me for things, thinking that I was a whole other person, calling me by another name, going, thank you, Adam. I'm so glad that you met. And I was like, what? So it's like I've got both of those. But anyway, how you doing, Arkheim? How you feeling with all this?
It's not every day that a serial killer shows up to your live stream. It's always a little off-putting every time. But I don't kick them out because I want people to see like this guy's like it's real. And I know it's him because I can feel the energy of it. Like, it's not some guy pretending to be him. It's him.
I feel
so
you. Yeah.
I can tell through the energy signature of it all. So yeah, it's just weird. But I made it so I can't see the comments right now, so I'm sorry to the viewers, but that's kind of my way of moving forward. And you guys can take care of them in the comments if you want.
Yep.
But yeah, the aspect of, like I said, with your book, it's like a self-discovery. Through your self-discovery, it kind of can help give people a little bit of a roadmap to understand. And one of the things that definitely happened that I saw with you, and I've seen it with a lot of other people that experience this, is like you very well could have gotten steered into a way where, like, a place where it's like, hey, look, just stay on your medication. Like, this stuff that's happening to you, this is what we call mental illness. And basically, like, you could have been steered away from this, and there's probably a version out there right now that's still like overweight and like just sitting around playing video games and like not living their best life.
Yeah, that was another thing that I related to, like, hardcore, because like, for a long time I was on antidepressants, and a couple of years ago they stopped working pretty much. They didn't seem to be helping me, so instead of getting a different prescription, I was like, I've tried a couple of these drugs. I'm just gonna go off of them and see what happens. Yeah. And once I went off of them, first of all, I lost 20 pounds. Like, it just dropped off me. Like, it just flew off me without having to do anything pretty much. And it was only when I got off of that I started to was able to take stock and it is kind of a waking up process, because you take stock of your life. You're like, what the heck am I doing? These drugs are keeping me in a placid state, And
I feel like from the outside looking in, like, if you're watching your friend go through a spiritual awakening, that's why I chose the thumbnail that I did. That's kind of what it looks like. That's cool. Like, this guy that's like crying all the time and like told him I love you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this dog told me, like, I just imagine like meeting you during that time in your life. Like, this dog, man, it told me it loved me, man. I don't know, like, fucked up my whole day, and like, I'm just like, it did. Oh yeah. Imagine like being your friend, and like, bro, are you all right? Have you talked to a therapist? Like, you know what I mean?
No, I did. I actually was the therapist at that stage of my life, for real. I was the therapist.
But like, as a friend, you'd probably be concerned. Probably be like, look, I don't know where this is headed, but it doesn't look like a good place. Like,
no, everybody was. Yeah, everybody.
And what's interesting is you came out the other side as the Matthew Mournian we all love and know today, and I'm glad that you did. And it's interesting because I've seen it with other people where they did not come out the other side of their spiritual awakening like a Matthew Mournian. Unfortunately, they had to bury it. And a particular friend that I watched this happen to, where they really had an awakening, and it was a wild thing. I'll be brief, and I won't mention their name just out of respect, but they might be watching this, so they might appreciate having their story be told, even if I don't use their name. They had like a spiritual awakening. It was like weird. Like my friend was an atheist, and like didn't believe in anything spiritual. I showed up to his house one day, and he's like, "Man, dude, like, I don't know how to explain to you. Like, I figured it all out, man." He's like, "I stayed up for like 3 days meditating." He's like, "I just figured it out." I'm like, "Well, what? What do you mean you figured it out?" He's like, "The force is real. We're all one. Like, God is like us, and we're God." And like, all this crazy. It was like, and I hear this stuff all the time.
True, I guess, right?
Yeah, I hear this stuff all the time now from people, right? Like influencers and spiritual people on the internet and stuff like that. But this was before all that. And this is the first time I'm hearing all this stuff. My friend's like, "Dude, the force is real," like on this crazy spiritual trip. And I'm like, "All right, well," and he's like, I can show you. He's like, "I can make the cicadas, I can make them get louder and like scream, or I can make them get quiet." And he's like, and then he's like showing me, and I'm like, so skeptical, dude. Like that wall of illusion was up, and I'm just like,
he did it though, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
He's like, "Wait, coincidence? They did it like 3 times. All right, let's go outside. I'll show you. I can burst the clouds. You ever hear cloud bursting? I can make the clouds disappear. Check it out." And he'd be like, and then the cloud would fucking disappear. And I still was like, it's probably natural weather for them. I was like making excuses, and he's like, "No, dude, I'm telling you, like," and it unfortunately kind of did devolve to where, like, well, he said he was going around and like he was in a really good mood and full of love, and then he said that he noticed everywhere around him, like people would say, like, "Man, I'm in a really good mood all of a sudden." Like he noticed like people like changing with his mood, like they're picking up on it. And he said he was just like, he had this thing where he was like falling in love with everybody, and the moment that I guess broke the whole thing, and it's fairly reasonable, like if you step outside and look at it from just a normal person perspective, like he showed up to his neighbor's house at like 5 or 6 in the morning or something like that. He like knocked on their door, and they're just like, and it was the mom. He was trying to talk to the daughter, but he's like, it was the mom, and she's just like, he's just like, I don't know, I'm making up a name. Was Lori there or whatever?
Right.
She's like, "It's 5 in the morning. Well, she's sleeping."
On the door.
And he's just like, tell her, let her know I love her. And she's just like, "I love him. I love her too." And like, just the door. And just like, that was the moment where then the cops show up and they're like, "Dude, are you okay?" And he's like, "We're in the Matrix." Like, I can make clouds disappear. And they're like, "Dude, we're gonna have to bring you in the paddy wagon, man." Like, and that was kind of a downward spiral in his life a little bit. Like, it didn't help him, I don't think. Like, unfortunately, there's no SEAL Team 6 of mental health that can come in when you're going through a mental, spiritual transformation that can be like, "We got you, buddy. You're going to be okay. You're going to come outside the other side of spiritual warrior. Don't listen to these fucking farmer doctors. We got you." Like, that doesn't happen. Like, you got to figure it out on your own kind of at first,
I pray there will be in the future, although that's a very idealistic thing to say, because I think that's the story for so many of us. It was also the story for me at a much earlier stage of my life. Like a lot of us, I think, in like early childhood and later on in adolescence, like teenager, stage, I probably, like many people that watch this, probably like you guys in some form or another, I was on so many different types of medications. I mean, you name it, like literally do like a laundry list of the top 10 cool antidepressant meds. I've probably taken all of them. You know what I mean? And what I have found is that there is an entire subsection of the human population that is growing up under the so-called umbrella or just this weird, container of mental health treatment that are actually incredibly powerful empaths, psychics, healers, mystics, whatever silly keyword you want to add to it. And it's funny because you'll see people going through that thing that you're talking about with your friend, and you'll notice in those moments, I know it's a crazy example, but you know how he made the cicadas louder or quieter? That is a real thing. When the human energy field expands on such a level in which our actual life force energy is shooting out of the body, you can create crazy crazy reactions. I, without knowing, which you guys know from the book, I created a actual flame of fire in my hand, not knowing that it was that was even humanly possible. And so
Yeah, let's talk
when the
about that a
energy
little
system activates, shit gets really, really weird. And there's no
bit.
infrastructure to help people understand how to work with that. And so what's the answer? You go on meds. And so what happens, let me just mention this really quickly, because somebody in the chat asked what something about do antidepressants ever work? And I will say, some people will hate this answer, but yes, some of them do. And there
Yeah.
are many stages, right? There's stages in which it will very well stabilize you. I had a few that worked for a while. I think the problem is that it becomes a lifestyle, and especially because of the way, like the chemical formulation of it will effectively close energy centers. And you're going to hear a lot of people in the coming years talking about, chakras and meridians, and
By
everyone's
the
going to
way,
be.
I want to say for the
Yeah.
YouTube
Sorry,
bots, this is all for entertainment purposes. We're kind of all talking about this hypothetically. We're
Yeah.
not
Right,
doctors. We're not
Yeah.
giving people medical advice or anything
Yeah.
like that. I just want to make that clear.
I will say, for my part, like, antidepressants did they did help me for a little bit, but and I know that there are big, lifesavers for some people, but for me personally and for a lot of other people, it's not something that worked for me long term, or that I was able to stay on long term. And I think a lot of times they kind of want you to stay on it long term, for the rest of your life. So yeah, I agree with you there. Like, I'm not against it ever being used, but it's not a permanent solution. It's just a band-aid.
Right.
And like another thing, I could give an example too. Like, I really do think that they use medications and stuff like that sometimes to vary people's psychic abilities. But in the case of my father, I've talked publicly about him a lot. He's in the programs like me. And we're talking about my biological father on Earth in the here and now. Who knows who he actually is. I'm pretty sure he's actually my son or something like that. But that's a whole nother story. But he had the Omega programming where he tried to commit suicide because of the spiritual awakening that he had. And he actually saw red and everything like that. And then they would attack him with V2K for a lot of his life. A lot of it religious, like Jesus V2K and stuff. And he was able to get out of all of that programming, nasty programming, really negative programming, through medication helped him, basically, is what I'm getting at. Yeah. For a long time, it was kind of like he was a guinea pig, and he would abuse his medications, because he'd get put on medications. He'd be like, hey, this makes me feel kind of groovy. So then he'd abuse them. And it was a whole wild back and forth thing where he finally got on the right medication and he's stable. And so it's one of those things where it's like, do what you have to do to survive in this world. People all have their crutches. And it's just, you also have to recognize that some of these people, and again, I'm not a doctor. I'm for entertainment purposes or whatever, but some of these people, to me, seem to be kind of drug pushers. Like, they really want to push these drugs on people. So you have to have self-awareness, use discernment, as we always say. Hey, maybe this could help me, but also okay, what's in my best interest and what's in their best interest, and it's in their best interest to sell me things, to sell a product to me. So there's a balance to it. But yeah, I think it's one of those.
Yeah, they tried to give me another antidepressant. My doctor did, when I told her I wanted to go off of it, and she gave me another prescription for it, and I took it home from the pharmacy, but I wound up never taking it. So
Which one was it?
I didn't remember. I was on Zoloft for a bit, probably Prozac or something like that. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I didn't go down that route.
Yeah. See, that's the crazy thing. Just like you're saying, there are many times in which it can and will save your life in certain stages. People stabilize for sometimes decades on it, and it really depends on the individual. And so I can tell you one thing though, and I do feel rather strongly about this, but one thing we always learn when you do this work, always an exception, but one thing they biochemically do in the body is shut down the energy, not necessarily within chakras, but the energy that is shared between chakras. So people basically have they have their psychic abilities shut down. It's not that they're unable, it's that the system that conducts that energy for most people gets turned off, which is also why when a lot of people go off of certain types of medications, especially the opiate blockers or the opiate synthetic replacement drugs like Suboxone and whatnot, those actually shut down the whole system. And once again, it's not that they shut down it, everything kind of goes into stasis. And so that's why when we stop taking them, a lot of times people have this sort of, freak out, or energy gets really crazy. They go through, some sort of a manic phase. I mean, there's a bunch of other reasons for it, but I believe that there's a lot of people that will eventually see this, and you'll come to that stage in your own life. But just know that those things, I think, are having a pretty detrimental effect on your abilities. Yet at the same time, I also have to be really real. I've met and worked with a lot of people who are also still on medication and work very well at intuitive. So you know what I mean? It's a really weird double-edged sword. And anyway, I could go on and on about it in a very odd fashion, so I'll pause there. It's a strange world.
One thing I want to bring up now, since we're here, and kind of a fascinating thing, I guess, is I can see other timelines. I talk about it a lot. Its ability. Part of the reason why I was in these projects is because I have that ability and stuff. And I remember, it's like future memory sometimes, so it's this weird word to use, but our friendship and a big part of my journey, Matthew, as you're seeing now before your eyes, is I also learned to become like an energy practitioner and an energy healer.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to talk about some things where this is really weird. As a time traveler, I experience weird shit where I'm able to tell you about stuff before it happens to hopefully prevent it from happening. So you teach me a lot. The scalar, I actually really freaked out when I was looking into your work and you started talking about the scalar tones and using the tones, the scalar tones to heal the energy body and all that stuff, because I had like a vision in my head that like told me like scalar tones and like scalar waves, and like I started looking into scalar waves, and like I found this like government document on scalar waves and like all this stuff, and then you're talking about that. And essentially what I remember is you taught me how to do what you do, man.
Yeah.
You taught me how to do it, how to heal people and how to help people. I'm getting emotional, man.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
one of the things that was kind of funny about it, and you never said it, and we're never able to talk about it, but we can talk about it now because it hasn't happened yet, is I think you kind of resented the fact that a lot of people started going to me, people that were your clients even, because I was like the secret space program guy. I'm the time traveler. So like people just started going to, because I have a better like story or cooler story or some shit. I think it really irritated you because you've did it for so much longer, and frankly we're better at it. And and people just kind of got blinded by the fact that I wrote all these songs and I'm in these time travel projects and stuff like that. And you're just more straightforward and just honest, and just, you don't have a story. There's no story. You just do this work, right? Like, and it bothered you kind of. And hopefully it doesn't reach that point in this reality to where like, I don't know. I just remember that. And
Thank you for listening.
I remember having a heated conversation with you where you said something flippantly in an interview that I saw about basically, but everybody goes to him because he's the secret space program guy and I'm not. So, and then I remember like I called you and we had like a heated, I was like, you couldn't like tell me that to my face. You had to say it in an interview. I remember like we had like kind of like a falling out, but we still remained friends for the sake of the movement. But there was like,
the same.
there was a lot.
Maybe there was some weirdness. Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah. So that's, I think that in this timeline, we can recognize that it's important that I also know how to do what you do, but
I definitely agree.
Try to be more careful to not step on your toes, man, because I don't think it was cool with me.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't
okay.
It always sucks
I
when
love
like
it.
a friendship, you know, you have a rift like that, and then you make up, but like it's never really the same. Like both him and I have
Yeah.
experienced that, and that always sucks. So yeah, I
So
really
have
hope that.
I. I have as well. Thank you for mentioning it. I can tell you one thing. I feel that that is a real timeline, but the good news is I feel the version of me in this life here, and I feel very strongly about saying this. I think the version of me on this timeline, the good news is I feel that we have very effectively worked through that side of the social wound. There's a few others that still are there, but that part, I think I don't see that as being a difficulty. But honestly, that said, let's bring it into the here and now. You definitely have, I know you know this, I'll just say this as a confirmation. You certainly have it's like a module or sort of like kind of frequency centers within
I
the
can
energy body.
I can
Yeah.
program people. Okay, they use me at
Yes.
Montauk to program people psychically with my
Yeah.
mind. I could link with their mind, and I could program their mind with my mind. Inside of everybody's mind, okay, part of the programming is inside of everybody's mind. There's like a maze, and you have to go into. You have to fucking go in that maze and like
Yes.
navigate it through it with the person. And like very few people know how to do that or can do that. And I know how to do it, but I haven't done it yet. The first person that I ever do it to is her.
When you feel ready to do a session, we can do this together. This is literally what I do every day, and I tell people, for those in the chat that have done a session with me, I say this: it's like we're taking a tour through the inside of your own body. And the cool thing about that is when you do that with a person, it's not that you need to be taught. It's almost like someone takes you there, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, like kind of like that, and then you'll find yourself doing it in your own way. And so if and when you feel ready, we can definitely make that happen. Although I agree, you already have it. And like I was saying, it's a module that people will have, kind of like a thing that can activate certain stages of the life. There'll be, certain stages where it doesn't work as well. But the fact that you're even talking about it and feeling it and noticing those timelines, in my opinion, means that it's showing up for you. The crazy thing is, Kat, you have it as well. I mean, and we could say many, many people do, but there's a very, very noticeable sort of resonance that I'll find in people's voices. It's just kind of where I'll notice it the most. It's like voices, and also there's like lines and sort of patterns that show around people's faces that I will look at that kind of tell me what pieces of their energy body are sort of operational and what aren't. And both of you guys have it. In fact, you can see this on people if you want to start looking at them, and it won't make sense in the beginning, but you'll notice that bodies carry data around here and around here at the sides of the eyes. There's a million other places, but it's just one of those things that I've been noticing is very accessible for everyone. And the key is to not look at someone and to try to discern data. The key is to look at someone and to allow your imagination to kind of run, and you'll sort of pick up these like images and experiences and things. And anyway, I could go on and on about it, but you guys both have that. And I think a lot of us in our community
I
do,
guess
but
it
it's very
surprised
cool.
me.
Sorry, go ahead.
Him and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways. So.
She has a lot of doubt programming, and it's I see it in myself sometimes, and I see it in her as well, but it can be frustrating. Like she said to me before, she was like I know I'm like a medicine woman, like healer, like woman, like people have come to me to like birth their babies and like
for love spells,
love spells for their boyfriends and like that's the kind of person I am. Like that's who I've been historically, like that kind of person.
Yeah, I told you like I'm a wise woman, and you're like, yeah, I know I can't keep anything from you, and I'm like, no, I'm a wise woman. Do you understand? Yeah, and you know what? Talking about the energy body thing, on our way back from our camping trip last weekend, like I had a total ego death. Like I was bawling like a baby, and then when I'm pretty sure when I calmed down, I was like, this is kind of like an energy clearing, like Matthew talks about in his book or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, that happened.
It sounds cheesy, like it really does. Somebody is about to cringe. Get ready. this is a statement, but you got to break down to break through every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah.
it's such a dumb statement. I know somebody out there will be like, "Ugh, it's so dumb," but it's true, you guys. It's like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things that, you know,
Maybe
the thing
that
that
means I'm
I've
doing
come to
it.
realize is a lot of things are like cliche for a reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like we said on our live the other day, like love is the answer. That sounds like hippy dippy bullshit to a lot of people who are like, who are poisoned by cynicism and irony poisoned, as I like to say. But and I was irony poisoned for a long time. Like if you said that to me like 3 years ago, I would have been like, fuck off with that bullshit. You know what I mean? But
Right? Same here.
true.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat. So if I look down, that's what. Just so you don't have to look at it.
All good. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out.
Can't program.
oh, I can't program. Okay, good.
It's all right. It's okay.
That's good news for me then. What were those implanted memories? I know what people had to do to program people. They tortured people. That's how you program people. So I guess you probably just made me do that to fulfill your sick fantasies. So I don't know, dude. Whatever.
Aurora says, "Love to wise woman cat." Thank you. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. It's very viewable in you. I think later on at some stage or maybe now you will begin to, and this is a crazy statement, so I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it looks like you had a time in which you worked with the healing properties of poisons. And you had like this sort of like, you had like a poison regimen thing going, and you might have raised some form of like spiders at some stage on another timeline, or at least it feels like there's a version that's been kind of like watching you in some form, like kind of checking in to see when you're ready for that. It was under the lens of healing, so it wasn't like it wasn't like a negative thing, but I think that she also worked with like snake venom as well in clearing something from the body. And so anyway, take it all with a grain of salt.
That's cool. Thanks for telling me that.
So
actually, here, let me just pass on one other thing. This is for everyone here, because I think one of the things you'll notice that we're talking about a lot, and I'm sorry to like cut you off with that, but for the people that are wanting to begin learning to view other timelines, the way you've been talking about Arkheim, and also how I've kind of sort of did with you, and just looking at other aspects of self. A lot of people know this already, but if you don't know, there is a place on your energy body that you can start working with and just sending energy to and meditating upon, that will make it way easier for you to perceive the clarity of alternate timelines. And so a lot of you guys have heard of this, but it's like in the back of your head. And so imagine you're drawing a line through your third eye. So you're going to go all the way through. Then at the back of your head, you're going to go up like about 2 inches. So it's like above the back of your third eye. And it's this opening called the Bindu chakra. And so I'm just saying that. I'll pause there. But for those of you guys that want to get better at viewing those alternate timelines, breath and energy through this portal will start to open it up. And anyway, I didn't mean to derail what you were saying.
That's super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I that's all right. You're fine. You're not derailing anything. Yeah.
Which you're a very good example of having that pathway open. Yeah. Thank you. Do we have any questions from anybody out there?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Andromedan says, I get random openings without how I do it. Honestly, Andromedan, birth and energy. And sometimes, like, if you want a more specific way to open up the energy field at the top of your head, what happened? Let's just say, for those of you guys that don't know, why would I want to open up the crown chakra? Why would I want to open up the field at the top of my head? So that you can perceive on a greater level the transmissions of non-physical energy, also technological non-physical energy. And if you want to get even weirder, the thoughts and the feelings of others. And so anyway, let me just give you this really, really quick phrase that anybody can use. It is Ogam Satya Om. And I'm just going to put it in the chat. Sorry, guys, we're getting weird. I just hijacked their show with a bunch of Sanskrit phrases to open up energy centers in your body. But seriously, everybody, use this right here. Use this phrase, Ogam Satam Om. Hopefully my chat will work. It's almost like a mandatory crown chakra opener, and it's amazing. I use it every day. Anyway, I'll pause there. But yeah. Cool. How you feeling over there?
I'm feeling all right. I just totally, there's a reason why he keeps showing up to my shit. He's trying to throw me off, and unfortunately, it kind of works a little bit. Like I'm not can't lie. Like this guy's
talk about it.
Done a lot of fucked up stuff to me, and he just shows up during my show and just starts saying, "You weren't a programmer. You did it." It's like, okay, well then what the fuck was I? Come on my show. Show everybody that the time travel projects are real. You're supposed to be dead. I put a link in the comments. If you really want to stop being a coward, and if you want to come on my show, it's not all about me, dude. You're supposed to be dead, and you're just showing up in the comments section. It's kind of a big fucking deal. Like you can't just that's so rude that you're paying attention to me. Like you're playing mind games as usual, being a mind controlling prick. Like if you really fucking want to be here, like
bring him in.
Yeah, come on, come on stage. I don't know where you're at or how your internet works, but you should be able to come on here with your black hair and your younger body. I can see what you look like in my mind. Latonic car interplanet space warrant of arrest. Okay, so at least
nice. Okay. You're in violation of the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Wait, weren't you part of the time? You were in Time Core as well, right? Did you have timeline memories of that? I know Sean Bond does. Did you as well, Arkheim?
Time Cores? Yeah. Time Cores are just basically colonize planets. That's basically what they do.
Okay. Nice. So I like this. Okay, subject of warrant. Here we go. Nice. Look at this. This is excellent.
It's probably the same person that's pretending to be Preston or whatever. I don't know, dude.
No, it's beautiful. Let's give him 15 minutes of fame. Okay, subject of warrant, name, Arkheim, Ra, alias. Okay, dude, if you're going to do this, you need to use the space bar. Please use the space bar. Especially if you want to be taken seriously by the Galactic fucking Federation. Use the space bar. Slow down when you're typing. Okay, what else does he say? Destruction of interstellar property. Intentional sabotage of the stellar. This is good. Have you been playing Mass Effect again, Lieutenant John Carr? Destruction of interstellar property. Intentional sabotage of stellar navigation array on planet Core 7. Wait, no, wasn't Core... Yeah, Core 7 was from Mass Effect, right? Good job, bro. Resulting in substantial economic and environmental damage. Okay. So can you please tell us the possible what are the galactic penalties, Lieutenant Carr? What
are the punishment for my crimes?
Yeah. Can we? I am now serving in the capacity as this man.
Fucking weird is this guy?
Intergalactic League Council here. Okay, so I'm just gonna step in. He says illegal use of advanced weaponry. This is good. Deployment of forbidden. All right. Well, you need to be a little bit more specific. Can you please state the statute that was
all these guys that are trying to look? Here's literally the link to our fucking thing. If you really want to come on here, come in our chat and talk to me about how you're gonna kill me. Like I live in a military city. Like show up to my front door. Like jets fly over my house and black helicopters all the time. Like
you're in. Wait, no, you're in Portland now, but you were in I can never say the name of the state, Wisconsin. Right? Yeah. Let me just mention a really weird thing from the distant past. As I think you know, I used to play in a band as well. We did a lot of touring back in the day. And Wisconsin was the only state in America that I've ever been to a Mexican restaurant, and I got a taco, and they put a slice of American cheese in it. It was the only time, and I was like, what the fuck? It was like this moment. And granted, let me tell you, that was 2004, so that was literally 20 years ago, and I'm still tripping about American cheese in my taco.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry.
That's effed up. Wait,
oh look, he's kind of giving you some compliments here, Arkheim.
Yeah.
He's a formidable super soldier, genetically enhanced and heavily trained. This is really good. Man, good job, buddy. Glad you can come on the show. It's too bad you have no balls, sir. But anyway,
Isn't it weird how like Preston's suddenly not in the chat anymore and now this guy's here?
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. I think it's a really good thing. You have high quality trolls. Like you got some of the best trolls that I've seen. Like I used to do lives and the best troll I could get, like Aurora knows this. The best trolls I could ever get are those sex bot trolls that are like XXXX videos now. That's the best trolls I ever got.
I'm just lurking, my child. That's so fucking Preston. Lurking. With his keys on his belt. You know, you hear those keys in the hallway and you knew bad things were about to happen. Just lurking. Why don't you come on the show, Preston, and show everybody that you're not dead and that these programs are real? Why don't you come? I'm gonna put here you go. I'm doing it again. Paste. It's right here. You can come and talk to me and be on my show. Like you really, if you're here in the chat, it should be possible. We got Jean Grey here. We got other people here. We got. Don't you want to say hi? Like you could just be you could just be some random fucking person who made an account that says Preston B. Nichols, and that's what.
Oh, no, it is. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like so, like until you actually like show up on the screen, like kind of nobody really gives a shit about what you have to say. Like, you know
Come
what I mean?
on, Preston. You can do it, buddy.
Like, think about it. You could change the world right now. You could blow all of our minds. You could really fuck our shit up. He claims to be, you know, some guy that
actually. Hold on. Can I ask a serious question for a moment? And I realize we're just kind of having fun here and getting weird, but this will sound really weird. But prior to my awakening kind of experience, a person that had shown up within my dream state in spirit form, and it's funny because this was after he actually physically died, was Al Bielek. And I'm wondering if you could just comment a little bit on, did you know him? What was your experience with him? Was he a person that was even around as much as they say?
He was the guy
he was the first individual from,
He was the guy who said, get in the fucking chair. He threw you in that goddamn chair. He hit you if you didn't listen to him. He was, I guess he was a programmer. You know, apparently I wasn't, according to the Preston troll. I don't even fucking know.
All right.
Yeah, so but like but no, I remember him. And the here and now, he seemed like much more of a decent person than Preston was. Like but at the same time, there's that video, you can look it up to you and the people in the chat, open up another tab and look it up if you want. It's Remembering and Knowing with Larry James and Al Bielek. And there's a quote in there, and I actually put the conversations in my book. Yeah, and it's he talks about how like they were kidnapping kids and throwing them through the portals, and they didn't have any emotions about it. Like the interviewer was like, "Oh wow, you're like throwing kids through portals, and some of them didn't come back. It must have been hard for you." And they're like, "Nah, the kids didn't matter. They're all like homeless and stuff. We didn't give a fuck about them." They're like 100% like that's just like how they talked about it. So I don't know. I feel like I sometimes try to make excuses for these people. Guys, at the end of the day, I guess for a while I was one of them. I mean, I worked for this project. They called me the Shield of Baphomet. I don't know.
I feel
Preston sure got quiet ever since we asked him to come and actually join the fucking chat, or like show your cards or fucking Anyway,
he'll be back. He'll be back hopefully, or maybe not.
It's good to talk to you.
Thanks, you guys. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, he died in 2018. That was my understanding, and Andromedan as well, which was actually around the time when I was experiencing this man in the dream state. Another being that I experienced in the dream state a lot during the early years. He was somebody that I know is kind of like a Kino type figure. Some people say worse. But someone that showed up, and I did not understand the nature of why this person would show up in my consciousness, was Mengele. He was a being that
Yeah.
kept showing up over and over and
he's
over
like
again.
a programmer. Yeah, you know, like I really think that you figured out that you're like in this stuff with us, didn't you? Like you're in programs,
I'm
aren't
gonna be
you?
real with you. I do not believe that I am. I think that I have identified pieces of myself, other aspects of self on alternate timelines, concurrently running, are engaging in that realm. But I have not identified any avenue in this physical world through which I had that experience. I'm not opposed to that being a reality, but it's never been a selling point for me. It's never been a thing that I felt I needed to claim. But I think I had many of the core experiences that a lot of people went through. I would classify myself, like, if you want to put a cheesy label on it, I fit the label of my lab very, very well. And I don't mean that in a glamorous way. It's just that was literally what was happening to me as a child all the way up until adult stage. In fact, if you want to get even weird about it, I literally started having blood leaking out of my ear the other day, which was one of the main places I would get tampered with when they would pick me up in the early stage. And this big scar had grown over the side of my ear here. And that was prior to when they started inserting something in my nose. And it's funny because since the full disclosure conference, both of those things have almost left, which were major elements for me, constantly getting kind of implanted or probed, or I would get
Yeah, I have that too a lot.
Yeah.
Right now I don't have it, but my
Yeah.
nose is tender a lot because they shove shit up it so often.
Yes, that is a literally real thing that not too many people in our community talk about. I actually talked to James Rink about it a bit, as well, maybe a couple other people, but everyone's talking about the process of getting implanted, and there's very few people I've met that have had that experience where it's like, actually, yeah, and let me tell you where it goes. And honestly, for those that really do get them, some of the most common places nowadays are up the nostril, also in the ear. There's a bunch of other little weird places, at least anyway, I could go on and about it.
Most real signs of these programs, the biggest one is missing time, I would say. Or I also think that I've noticed, and I don't think it's everybody, but most people in these programs seem to have ADHD. And trying to figure out this StreamYard. All right, Preston, it's not that hard.
You can do it. You can do it.
Anyway,
it's okay.
That'd be fucking weird.
Yeah.
I'm all about it though. I mean, if he wants to come on here and talk to me, that's what I deserve. I deserve to be able to talk to him. It's really him.
I agree. I feel like you're being placed in a situation where you're being taught how to become unfuckwithable, and it's like you're going to be faced with people like this probably in like a repeated pattern over the coming months, and probably on the other side of it you'll be like, yeah, whatever, sure, cool, thanks bro.
Well,
thanks
the
for
thing I was
stopping
going to
by.
say before I get distracted was sorry Matthew, was that ADHD seems to come in really, really poor memory. Because like, like, are you the type of person where you walk in the kitchen and then you're like, what the fuck am I in here for again? And then you gotta go in the living room and sit down to remember why you went in there, right? I feel like that's really common with us a lot. Hey, Terry, it's good to see you, man. It's really good to see Terry. Terry's an awesome guy.
And one other thing, I remember you talking about this in an interview with Joseph Powell, was one of your first interviews, where, like, I remember, like, it was either you or him. There was like, yeah, there's a reason why we all have bad vision, why we all need to wear glasses or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that reason?
Space. It fucks up your eyes, the light.
Yeah, I wear contacts, but like we have almost an identical prescription, so that's pretty interesting.
Oh, nice. You guys can share glasses. I feel like I'm literally blind, like without these. I cannot drive. Like, honestly, if I came on your show and I was back here, I wouldn't even know. Oh no, I could probably tell Arkheim just because I could see the shape of you, but like, I know I'm real life blind.
It's blurry. Like, it's very, very, very bad.
Yeah.
So apparently, Preston Nichols was like a computer programmer, like the big programmer guy, but he doesn't know how to log into a stream.
I know, account. Right?
I mean, like.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think that's your sign, though. That's your sign that it's not actually him. That's your sign. I mean, I think it's obvious that it's not. It's just like a troll game, but because if it was, I don't think there would be any reason to be like approached in this manner. It's like YouTube realm opens the door for just like complete douchebag assholes. But anyway, go
Well,
ahead.
if you
Take this
come on
question.
screen, it would cause a lot of problems for a lot of
Yay.
people. So,
Who
Come on
is
in,
it?
buddy.
oh,
What's going on?
speak of the devil.
Is it Lieutenant Dan? Wait, so that was the guy earlier, right? The one that was charging you with, what was it, Lieutenant?
No, Dan. This is a good guy. Appleton's not a whole fake town. It's they just manipulate the people with mind control and time travel, and it's very Truman Show like, but it's not fake. You know, like the people are really living their lives. Hey, Preston, who are you? Who is this?
You gonna say something or what?
Oh, people are trying to troll me. Is what they're trying to do. Banned from studio. All right. Yeah. It was just people fucking with me, I think. Yeah, so. But anyway,
I love it. Thank you.
yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I really felt a visceral reaction the first time he showed up, and I don't know if it's just because I'm hurt by the real Preston and it's a fake Preston and I'm tricking myself into it or what, you know? But yeah, I feel like if Preston really was here, it wouldn't be that hard for him to just show up and actually show his face. And I don't know. Like,
Well, I think that would, like I was saying, I think that would cause too many problems for too many people. So that's exactly why he wouldn't do it. All right.
yeah.
There's probably authorities that would show up and it would turn into a whole thing like live on the internet, and they wouldn't want that. So
Yeah. Jason says it was probably Captain John trying to serve his warrant.
I don't know whether it's Preston or not. This is the reality. But it could be through time because, you know, like I've already said, he's not actually dead. He's out there somewhere. For Selena, he was a programmer at Montauk. So yeah, like whether it's really him or not, like I do 100% believe that there is a clone of him out there somewhere that is alive. And I've talked about how I've seen the timelines where the Montauk trials happen. He's there, and he's younger looking. So it's like, yeah, I don't think he is dead, and that's why when he showed up to the chat, I wasn't like immediately like, oh, this is some troll. It actually entered my mind that it literally could be him. But you know, at the end of the day, I think if it's Preston, if it's you can come on my show, you can schedule it with me, we can figure it out. But I think in the future, I'm just gonna kick you out. She's my moderator, and we're just gonna fucking kick you out of my chat.
Yeah.
Unless you want to talk to me face to face and show your face. That's the only way you can talk to me. You don't get to just show up to my fucking show and derail the whole conversation. Like, you're right, Preston. I could be talking to Matthew more, and I am kind of making the show about me, and that kind of sucks. But thankfully, Matthew's a super cool guy, and he understands that we got to roll with the punches here when it's a live show like this.
I actually don't know.
Weird like this, right? Like that's part of the fun, isn't it? That you interact with people in real time, and weird shit happens, and it's fun. It's so.
I actually love it. I have no issue with it whatsoever. I wish Preston would come in, but he won't, and it's all right because I know you're fake, dude. It's okay. But you know, anyway, Lieutenant Dan couldn't come in either. You know what I mean? But it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
So you can just show up on like you couldn't just show. Can you explain why you can't figure out just to entertain us? Like, why can't you figure out StreamYard? I tried joining the stream and got kicked off by a coward. No, that wasn't you. You didn't show your face, dude. And you were like this for like 1 second. Go back and listen to it. That wasn't you. Like that, you could have showed your face if it was you. And then the other person that joined was trying to make me live stream porn to YouTube and get my show shut down. Like that was the other screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met James Casbolt. I don't remember it at all, but I just know that I've met him. I don't have any memories. I just know that I had to have met him at some point. You were backstage in the stream and you got kicked off.
Come on back, Preston. It's all right. Get in here. Get in here. Come on.
How does that work? Invite.
Get in here. Come on. Get in here. Bring Lieutenant Dan too.
Let's see.
Get in here.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to have you come on the show, but here's what you got to do. You have to actually show up as you with your face. Like, you know, otherwise don't even fucking bother. I'm not even going to put you on the stage. And I really don't think it's you though, like, cuz otherwise you would come on the show. Like, yeah. Too many podcasters legitimize trolls. Oh, yeah, you're right. We're probably doing that right now.
Even if we are, thank you for inviting me. I've had a good time. Even if we are, it's totally cool.
Yeah. Peace out. I understand. I totally get it. Yeah, it's probably not anybody.
Yeah. Well, the door's open, so.
Yeah, I like this comment right here.
There we go.
Yeah. For real. I agree. So anyway, back to the subject at hand.
Yes.
Just a little interesting time here with people.
Thanks.
I don't want to get into personal stuff. But what's going on?
Here we go.
Now it's all these friction. I've been trying to make up with James for a minute, and he just doesn't respond. I've even told him, like, look, man, I'm sorry if Brian hurt your feelings, and I'm not saying he's right or you're right or whoever's wrong. I've been trying to be pretty nice about it, but like the whole thing is apparently he didn't want Penny at the conference or something like that. I don't know. The thing is like really, like, it doesn't matter really at the end of the day. If people aren't getting along, it's stupid. It's all dumb to me. Like, you know, there's like deep underground military bases and like mind control happening and all this wild stuff, and we're arguing over like semantics. It sucks to me. That's my opinion on it.
We're arguing over the water slide, right? And
Yeah, we're arguing
over the
water slide. Right. And so for me, it's like, I love James, I love Penny, and I love Brian. And Brian is fine if I talk to James. Penny is fine if I talk to James. But James isn't fine if I talk to Brian. And James doesn't want me talking to Penny, and so he won't be my friend. Well, at least Brian. He won't be my friend if I talk to Brian. It's like Brian moved me across the country to Winnemucca, and now I live in Portland, and my life kind of sucked before that all happened. So, and he's my friend. Like, you know, like, I'm not just random guy on the internet. Like, I know him from the real world. So it's just, I can't stop talking to Brian. Like, he runs my channel with me. So, like, I guess that means that me and James won't talk anymore. And that's a James thing. And I hope he changes his mind about it. I can understand things are heated. Fucked up shit happened. Like, I'm not saying he's like some terrible person and no one should work with him. And he shouldn't say that about Brian either. That's the thing. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my opinion on it.
I feel you. Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, though, it was an amazing conference. For those who did show up, it was a great time.
I thought it was great. I'm looking forward to next year. Dan Guest says, I love you all. Weirdly, I see you all as kids, and I'm only 40. It's because I'm a dad. Thank you, Dan Guest. I will be, I'll be 47 in a couple months. So you're making me feel less old.
Yeah, I got groceries the other day, and the lady called me kiddo when she checked me out. I'm like, damn, that just took like 20 years off. Like, I mean, that just added 20 years to my lifespan. Yeah. Like, you just call me kiddo? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, and you know what's funny for me is like whenever we go out and we meet people and I tell people how old I am, they always think I'm like 10 years younger than I actually am. So it's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Actually, may I ask, how old are you guys?
I'm 39. I'm going to be 40 next June.
Oh, okay. So can I just say something about this really quickly? Maybe you've already heard this, so this will be painfully old news. But there is a very, very particular change that occurs in your life right as you hit the age of 40.
Yep.
In fact, a lot of people believe that the fourth decade of the human experience is actually when true adulthood begins. Not that there is such a thing as true adulthood, but that's kind of where we go into a little bit of a different identity stage. So if you look back at kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of this show, where you were talking about how certain things or pieces of you are activating, we were kind of going back and forth on that. You're at the stage of the human life cycle where that other version of you becomes available in a way that it was not available when you turn 30. You know, like when Saturn comes around, we between 28 and 30, shit gets weird. We go through an identity shift, and then that's really where you have a choice. And so some people call that stage in the life cycle the era or the chapter of deliberation, because you have an opportunity to, number one, choose. It's kind of like the choose your own adventure books, or two, you could just stay in a dictated version of reality and go outside right now, look at the people in this world that you see, and they're living under a dictated version of reality, which means that they're going to be stuck on just a completely different timeline. And so just the fact that you're into all this stuff at this stage of the human journey means that you have a really cool stage approaching you. And anyway,
Yeah,
I could go on and on about it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. It's like, man, I was like my 30s, like I feel like looking back, I feel like I was still so, still so young. And like people used to say like, oh, you're old when you hit 30. And it's like, no, that's not true. I'm just now starting to feel like a proper adult. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Very, very much. And then I think you get around toward the end of your 40s, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but then that was the stage where I'm like, yeah, I can definitely tell myself aging now. You know what I mean? Like every time I show up on one of these, I'm like, oh yeah, you can see I'm losing little teeny bits of hair every, you know what I mean? As we go along, you just notice all the elements of you starting to shift, I think, during that decade as well. But I think that you get a much greater idea of who and what you are. And anyway, I can't see too far past it because I'm still in that decade. But anyway, hang in there, you guys. But,
Should be fun.
I'm kind of curious, the Phoenix Susan, what do you think of this Preston troll? Kind of curious as your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this.
give her the link, have her pop in, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Why don't you pop in and tell me if you feel like coming in, Susan, you're more than welcome to. Tell me if the link works.
Come on, Susan, roll in. I can almost feel her over there saying, I'm not ready to be on camera. I can almost, maybe she's saying that right now.
I bet she can figure it out.
Yep.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it could be a faker. It could be him. I don't know.
I feel you.
It's probably not him. I don't know.
Maybe that's just what he wants us to think, though. I don't know. It's like all mind game bullshit, right?
Yeah, it's quite Preston Nichols. That's part of the reason why I think it's him. It's because he kind of is a troll, like, so it's hard to distinguish whether it's just a regular troll or just Preston.
Yeah.
Like, because they're troll edge either way.
Yeah, if he comes on and tells something only him would know, then that would prove
somebody
it.
Who knows how to trigger. Yeah, I've had the thought that it might be my brother too. I'm not going to name his name.
Oh, yeah.
I've had the thought that it could be my brother.
Yeah, that is possible.
It could be him. I have a brother who he likes to go around and...
I think he would do something like that, though. I can't really see him trolling like that.
Yeah, I could see him doing it. I could see him doing it. But yeah, we'd love to have Susan on the chat if you can get in here. Ha.
I'm going to go back really quickly here. Let me softly interrupt. I'm going to go back and take one of the questions somebody asked a little while ago, and it was from Selena. She said, have you ever seen a shadowed form of a person in meditation? That happened to me today, and I told it to leave, but it was weird. Selena, I will say absolutely. I've seen a shadowed form of beings in meditation, and then I've seen them like straight up in front of my face with my eyes wide open, and anyway, yes, it's definitely real. And I'll just say, I don't know, maybe they left for you, Selena. Maybe you guys have had this experience, but at that stage of my life, I think that was 2008, and they did not leave. They did not leave. In fact, they were like, "This is our place." It was more like, "This is our place, and you're in our place." But anyway, yeah, shadow people.
So can
I
you
guess
get
I
rid
can-
of shadow people if they infest your house?
I absolutely. I think at that stage of my life, I had very little concept of how to work with or how to manage or how to deal with such things. Now, it kind of depends on what you would define as a shadow person, because it's such a catch-all term. And I think what we find is that the lower density or lower dimensional beings that show up in that form, in most cases, it's usually some sort of like a parasitic energy, less sentient, less of a personality, much more like a phantom holographic computer program running on the lower astral plane, whose real purpose is really just to harvest fear and loosh and negative energy. So you get those that'll show up as kind of like black wispy shadows, and
Well,
sometimes
look at
you'll
that.
see like
Susan can
yeah.
figure out how to get on our chat, but Preston and
Yay.
Nichols can't figure it out. Okay, I'm pretty sure, like,
You
yeah.
came
So
at the right time. I was
there's-
going on a shadow person rant.
Wow.
Anyway, go ahead.
like, if Preston's really Preston, he can come have a conversation with us. So you've got 10 minutes to come on here with your face showing and have an actual conversation.
Okay.
And if you don't do that, I'm blocking you from my channel. And every single time that you appear, I'm blocking you from my channel. So, Mr. Preston B. Nichols, you have 10 fucking minutes to come on here showing your fucking face. You have 10 minutes. Anyway, how are you doing, Susan?
Pretty good.
Yes,
Hello.
Kind of work. So this is just kind of amusing to me because I don't think it's Preston. It's somebody pulling her leg though. I'd like to,
They would show up if it. I mean, like you could figure it out in 5 seconds. So
yeah,
Yeah.
it's somebody that knows you pretty well.
yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
pretty fucked up because this is a guy that's abused me as a child. So whoever's doing it is really fucking screwed up people. But
Yeah, it has to be someone on your friends list because they saw, or I don't know. I think it's someone on your friends list on Facebook.
probably I don't know.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Susan. Thank you for popping in.
It's good to see you too.
Seriously, that was actually really fast. Thanks for showing up.
Well, I had to come in here and hook everything up, and then I was like, oh, I look like shit.
It's all good.
I've been up since really early.
Have you had any shadow people situations lately, Susan? We had people in the chat were asking about shadow people, but what do you think? What's your take on that?
I've seen them quite a few times. It depends because one I think that I saw he looked like a shadow, but he looked like a Gumby cutout. It was weird because he was attached to an Eastern Star, and he looked like say his black construction paper. He tried to turn sideways so I couldn't see him, and then he would turn back. But the weird thing was, and this lady had cancer. He was shaped like Gumby, kind of like I could see he had no features. He was 2D. He had white pinprick eyes, and then after he saw that I saw him, he tried to scare me with the red laser eyes. I was like, better try harder, mofo. It's not scaring me.
Whoa.
And he showed up as a shadow, but then there's also shoot. I'm not really sure what they are, but they'll stay there and just stare at
Yeah.
you know?
Why are they always showing on the peripheral?
There's somebody spying on us because usually when I see a remote viewer, they look like a ghost, but they're moving, and I can tell it's a remote viewer because depending on how ones that are far away, just this part of their face shows up. If they're closer and they do it, I'll get a full body apparition of a remote viewer, and
Yeah.
and it's like, get the fuck out of my house. I didn't invite you here. And then I also have to be careful. I've, the Victorian, I've got leaded glass. If I leave my Harry Potter bathroom door open, it's got a full-length mirror on it. And then that reflects off my front doors that have beveled glass, and it makes a portal. So I actually kind of think of it. Let me go close the portal.
Close that portal. Andromedan says maybe shadow people are more like antimatter. I want to be real with you, Andromedan. I'm gonna embarrass myself in front of everyone. I don't even know what the hell antimatter is. Like everyone talks about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like antimatter. Yeah. So I actually don't know, but anyway, there's many different forms. And sorry, did you close the portal?
Yeah. Well, it makes it easier for somebody that's nearby to spy on me that's not as powerful as me but pretends he is. Yeah. I couldn't figure out how that person was showing up as a full body apparition and then realized he was 1.8 miles from me. Yeah. Doing his remote viewing.
So kind of what we've
Yeah.
been talking about on our show, Susan, is like the process of spiritual awakening and how it can kind of be like a difficult thing. You might lose friends. People might think you're crazy. And now that you're here with us, what was that? What did that look like for you in your life when you kind of woke up to like spiritual truth? Were you born that way? Did you kind of always know, or was there like a moment for you?
I'm a born that way person, and I kept quiet about it for a really long time because I'm actually still really embarrassed by it, to be honest. I don't like people knowing that I know stuff about them, and I don't know why. And it makes them paranoid to be around me because they don't know
Yes.
what I'm going to see. And I'm like, look, I used to be a cop, I was a sex crimes investigator. So usually it's things you were a victim of, not necessarily. Well, actually, that's not true either because I had a guy come in for massage, and I put a picture of him up in my Phoenix group. But he was so weird. He came in and he had his boots on and jeans and just had his shirt off. I'm like, what's he's got his boots on my table for? That's just rude. And as soon as I went to put my hands on his head, I started seeing him at the corner on his farm. He's sitting in an old farm truck, which is some old beater the farmers have that they drive around on the farm. And there's a little girl, Asian girl next to him. And I said, what are you doing on the corner of your farm with that little girl? And then he screamed, what are you, a prophet or something? I was, because it startled me when he screamed at me. And yeah, he did molest that 12-year-old girl. So yeah, and it's kind of embarrassing. And then you never know I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't know if it's going to work that day. I don't know if they're broadcasting because some people literally broadcast their pain and everything. And I'll go and I'm one of those people that I try to wear all kinds of blocking stuff, but I don't know why my gifts had to come this way. But I'll feel their pain, and I've got chronic pain anyway that I don't talk about. But I know people need me to work, and I got to pay my bills. But their pain will just be, I can't stand working on people that are nauseous because, one lady that came, that was a lady that owns a dance studio here in town where I was going to yoga. She had something going on with her gut. I was like, oh my God. I started sweating. I was like, you got pain going across here. And she's like, yeah. And then I'll tell them, I got some staff for that or whatever. But I'm not trying to sell my stuff. I don't want you in pain either. And then sometimes in yoga class, when my friends comes in and I've given her Reiki before, and I can feel her hip pain. It feels like her hip's broken sometimes, and I'll just go, Because I think like being a shining one or whatever, if they want to call us one of the falling, because I will glow. It's I think all this is a choice. I don't want to come back here. I'm going to do as much good as I can before I leave. And I just think people are going to see me and see my energy and go, oh yeah, I need her to put hands on me. And I don't know how this stuff works, but like every day it's something different. Like I was playing telekinetic games in 3rd grade in recess, and I read the whole metaphysical section of the library because I didn't know why I could do things, and I knew I was astral traveling, and because I would feel when, especially after swim team meets, because I was a super jock, and I remember I would feel myself slam back into my body, and I was like, what's that? I'm a nerd, so I got to go research. Astral traveling. When I was a sex crimes investigator, it was because I had precog dreams. I remember one of the canine officers was like, how do you do that, Susan? Sometimes I've already dreamt about where the drugs and guns are, like the night or two before, but it wasn't actually night because shift work and I couldn't sleep in the day, but you know what I mean. And I would just sit there and go, Foz's the bad guy. Oh, and get stuff before the drug dog would. And just knowing that people are lying, but the gift keeps doing weirder things. Like I started glowing in 2019. 2019 was.
Do you remember how they would use that for like combat? Like, because like one of the reasons why you were a time soldier is you could go into a situation and you could psychically know everything that was going on as you walked into it. And so you would be normally the leader of a squadron, and you'd go in there and you'd be able to be telepathically linked with everybody and let them know about the dangers that were lurking and like what was going to happen and what everybody needed to do because of your psychic awareness. So that's one of the reasons why you're a huge target for these programs, is because like let's think about that as a military application. Like that's huge. Like being able to sense like where stuff is, who's hiding where, what kind of traps they have set up as you're walking in. And this is something that like John B. Alexander, who is more nuts and bolts than we are, he talks about how like there are so many literal physical examples that he's seen of this in war, of people who have these abilities where they go in, and the people who survive in war, they often talk about, I had a feeling to go this way. I just knew to do this. I just knew to do that. And what we've discovered is that it's a psychic awareness. And so, yeah, I just think that's interesting that you talk about that, because it relates to.
Yeah. And then
you know?
it was when it was snowing one day, I told, the ex, don't go down the street in town. And I'm psychic. My guide said, don't go down the street. Doesn't he come back like 5 minutes later and the whole front end of his truck's totaled? I was like, why don't you listen to me? I'm not going to tell you something just to entertain myself. I'm actually embarrassed by this gift. And yeah, because my God will be like, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's actually my higher self talking to me, like, because my Kundalini got activated. But, yeah, it's irritating, but it's also irritating that family members know I'm psychic and they decided to take the, for the pandemic. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Pruitt is John B. Alexander, according to all the people who I trust. So it's weird because I had a conversation with Andrew Basiago, and I asked him if Jack Pruitt and John B. Alexander are the same person, and he told me they're not. So take it with a grain of salt. But as far as I know, Jack Pruitt is an alter of John B. Alexander. But
well, I know they had me go back to the Victorian era, and I worked with the Sonera Era Club to get things that they wanted, like the Da Vinci wings. That's who I was working for, and somehow they sent me back to go work with them. And they were flying before the Wright brothers. So
yeah.
But
Era Club.
Oh yeah, the shape-shifting stuff, that's new. What else is new? I don't know. It's like you keep getting different upgrades all the time, and that now people are coming to me going, how'd you activate your light body? I was like, I don't really know. I'm going to have to really sit down and meditate and think about it, because I was trying to jump timelines for 1 week straight. I would sit at the same time, do a half an hour meditation, and say the same mantra for a week. And I actually noticed I was jumping timelines because it was springtime the first time I did it. And when I went out to go to work, all the leaves were like this most beautiful shade of green. It was a shade of green I'd never seen before. And I was like, oh, I do need timelines. But I also think we're switching here, because I swear to God, I'll put my phone down and I go walk away. And I'm like, that's not where it was. And I'll find things in different places because we're switching. And when I do energy work, sometimes I'll go out of body. I've seen other people, like the girl that works on me. She channels her Reiki. She'll just say, because I have certain people, because somebody said, you do energy work on each other? I'm like, yeah, I get slime too. And I'll be like, I know something's on me. And she's like, well, you're more powerful. You take it off. But when she takes it off, I can see the whole thing. And then I have a better idea of what I'm dealing with, because I can see it when I put my hands into somebody else's aura, but not always my own. I know when I get those bad migraines, there's like these things, they have 3 teeth and they they're slippery and they're slimy, and sometimes they can be as long as my forearm and look like black goo slugs or leeches, and I'll have to pick them off. And they get, I see those more on energy workers too, because they parasite off you, especially. I've seen a lot more stuff connected to right up by their gallbladder this last week, and their sacral chakra. And somebody else had one right at the top of their spine. Actually looked like it had wings that I took off. And she felt really, the day before when I talked to her and did energy exchange, she looked really awful. But after I was done, I could see the color came back into her face again. Like, she's like, how does this happen? I said, it happens when we go different places because they see your light and they're like, ooh, dinner, you know, and they just bite onto you. And I said, I'll just sit there and do different things, like try to open and close my chakra, take a pendulum. You know, I've showed you guys before. Matthew knows how to do this. I think most other people do. But there's an easy way you can blow things off of your chakras. Like just take like one of your I was using this one yesterday. This one's tourmaline. Okay, there's my heart chakra. So I think fluffy kitties, babies, puppies. That's my heart chakra. See, I'm not moving this. Okay, my ex. That's how quick I can close a chakra. Yeah. Okay. Fluffy bunnies, kitties, babies, sunrises, the beach. See, it's gonna, and then you'll open it. But our heart chakra was, and I'm not swinging. I got the bead up here on the top so you can see. But that's the best way, is to like think of things that nourish that chakra. Like for me, you know, I try to come right out of my 528 frequency and do energy work. But even I have to blow stuff off of my chakras too, because that's, you know, sadness going to close your heart chakra. Like my dad dying closed my heart chakra down. So then I'll have to sit there and give myself Reiki and go sit in Epsom salt baths, and I'll put some sea salt in there and make some angelica root tea. It's a really good thing to knock stuff off you. And I'll do that before I do energy work, because I'm always really paranoid about something being on me and jumping off onto the person. I mean, I know how to handle it, because some of these things have gotten so wicked lately that I really love Yvonne's wand. Oh, and I got this new toroid she gave me, and it's really knocking some stuff out of me. And it's knocked itself, yeah. These are one side shungite and the other one's red jasper.
That's pretty.
And it was really pulling stuff down, and it actually made me look like I had, like when you get the little poof from PMS, when you're a little puffy right before your menses, it looked like that, and then it was like more stuff. So I've been purging a lot.
Susan, I still wear this one. I wear this one every day. This one you gave me, I never take it off.
I see it. I'm like, hee.
Yeah. Never ever take it off. I don't wear this thing until it falls off me.
The Andromedan asks, anyone know a technique for integrating a higher self?
Integrating it. You mean activating it?
Yeah, because I'd say the higher self is like always a part of you. You just don't realize it. So integrate would maybe be the right word. Wrong word. Activate would be more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized that mine had been talking to me recently, and I had always thought, like, I don't know if before, like, it was before our camping trip. Again, I realized that mine had been talking to me, and it was such an emotional experience. I just got this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach when I realized that. But yeah, it just, for me, it just kind of happened organically, you know, just being in sort of a relaxed state, like when you're like half asleep, I guess, is what works for me. Just finding a way to really, truly relax your mind and body.
I am high myself. There
you go.
I had to put it on the screen. That was too good of a joke. Thank you for that, bud.
Nice.
Gorgonzola. That's a good name.
Oh, you know what was another thing, because one of my friends was in here and they're like, I can't ground. I said, just sit there, especially if you're out in the sun, because you want to pull just think that I pull golden light down from heaven when I'm healing people or whatever you want to call it. And I just pull it through my crown, and basically you're shooting it out of your perineum, but if shooting it out of your anus makes better sense to you, do it that way and just think of yourself as like being supercharged. Because when I can connect to my soul star chakra way up there and I can feel myself tethered to my earth star chakra, Mother Gaia, then I'm not having that anxiety and I'm not, having looping thoughts and things like that. Because that's, I think, is the most problem most these people are having when they become awake is the anxiety and how do you deal with it. And because I won't lie, I cry when I work on people because I'll see stuff, that happened to them. And like sometimes you're like, this lady's, mom came in and talked to her that just passed away and some other stuff. But I will, because I'll say, do you want me to tell you? Because I'm seeing your mom. And all of a sudden I'm like, she was single mom, and she's trying to take you away from the father because he's a danger to you and all this other stuff. But yeah, some of the, and I thought I was going to be able to get away from a lot of like sex crime kind of stuff, but I still get in the same kind of people, bad stuff happens to them. Like, yeah. So I got to do yoga and stuff like that to keep myself grounded because I don't want to get looped into their trauma too because I got, just trying to stay grounded. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be hard as an energy worker. Like, I haven't done it myself, but I can only imagine, like, you have to transmute that energy without taking it on yourself, right? Like, that's got to be probably the hardest part of the job.
Yeah, because if you forget to protect yourself, you'll clear them really fast, but you'll be in a hell of a lot of pain because you just took on everything and you don't want to do that. It's through me, not in me. I'll pull all the stuff and energy through me and transmute it, but I'm not, it doesn't, it's not in me. Is the kitties jumping?
I just knocked over my water bottle on accident.
Oh, and I got another.
People asked me one time, why are you always drinking out of such big water bottles? Like,
why not?
Ever drink out of cups? And my answer is, Europeans don't know how to stay hydrated. Like
No,
us
they
Americans
don't.
do.
That is actually a thing that I've heard from other people. They just drink like little cups of water. Like
We
when
drink lots of water
when
here.
American tourists go overseas, they're like baffled that our huge water bottles that we carry around. So, yeah, water is important though. Like I can't do drinking water
Water
out of
is
a cup.
life.
Otherwise,
I love
forget
my
to do it.
European friends very much, and I would like you to learn from us Americans.
Drink less wine.
Drink more
This is
water.
probably one of the few things that we do right. So, like, drink less wine and more water. That's what I have to say.
There you go. There you go.
Drink more water.
Yeah.
Higher
There you
self.
go.
Adam always says some mind-blowing stuff. Let's see what he has to say this time. He
Yeah.
says, higher self is for sixth density of conscious beings about to go up the tree graph of fractalization to root. Each splitting node of conscious. Higher self for me is the name of higher node. What do you guys think of that statement?
That's a little over my head, I will be honest.
I'll be honest, he's always saying stuff like,
Lovely.
whoa, bro.
A lot of layman's terms now. I used to speak fancy because I was upper middle class and went to private school. But after as a cop, I don't use those flowery words anymore because the people I worked with did not understand them.
Yeah, well, like for me, I'll say this: like realizing that my higher self was awakening and talking to me. I have this saying that I like to. I have this saying that I think I'm the one who made it up. I don't know. Maybe other people say this, but I like to say you have to kick your own ass sometimes, and that's what my higher self did to me. It's quite a interesting process.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap this up? I don't know.
I don't know. I came in
A
like
weird stream.
an hour late because I was
No, it's all good.
But other than that,
Yeah.
Yeah, next time the Preston guy shows up, I'm just gonna block him.
Yeah, and if it is him, I just have to say, like, I had a vision recently where I was protecting him and another member of this community who's been getting attacked by him. And in my mind, I heard this voice that was like, if you say you want to protect something, you have to be willing to fight for it. Are you ready to fight? And yes, I am ready to fight. So if he
Nice.
shows up again or tries to harass either one of us, like, he's got another thing coming. That's for sure. He doesn't need my protection, but he has it, and I have his. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, they feed off the fear. Just stomp your feet and stand your ground because they feed off your fear.
Yeah, and by the way, like, what a coward whoever this is. Like, I don't know. It's like, show up. Like, be like, oh, I was fucking with you. I'm not Preston Nichols. Whatever. I don't know. Just, it's whatever. But it's a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
I just know that Preston Nichols would.
There he is.
There
I love him. I hope he comes back again soon.
Like, emoji reacts. Like, really? Why aren't you joining the stream, troll? Like, it's like, you're a computer scientist. Why couldn't you figure it out? Susan can figure it out. She's not a computer scientist.
Oh yeah, I was.
Oh, you actually were? Okay.
Well, when I
We love you,
on
buddy.
programs, they had me doing computer stuff on and off. So
Yeah. It would be really easy to come on here, but I'm the coward. Whatever. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
don't worry about it.
interesting show. I also want to bring up, too, we had Matthew on the show on our New Earth Light Brigade show, and the conversation was a little bit different. There weren't any trolls that showed up. So
We'll do it again in the future. Yeah.
We didn't talk about. We just talked about the book. We talked about not just the mental health aspect, but more broad. I'll link that in the comments of this.
I got to get up with you guys about writing a book. It's going to be books.
Please
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
You should do
Definitely
it.
come on the
Pray
show.
to God that you do.
We have to have you on your show by yourself, Susan. I think you've been on my show twice now, but you've never been on your own.
I saw.
Yeah, so I'll have to schedule that in the near future. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I want to remind people that I have a Patreon that you can join, patreon.com/ArkheimRaw. My book is available on Amazon. I've got links to Matthew's website and his book in the description here. So I highly recommend people check it out. And it really is a life-changing book. We're not just saying that. It's a really good book.
Really appreciate it.
A book like this doesn't come along every day. I know there's a lot of people releasing books, and I'm not saying that like
Each
other
one
people's
is
books aren't.
wonderful in
Yeah,
their
like
way.
they're worth checking out. But this
Really
one was kind of high on the top of the list for me.
Thank
And,
you. Sincerely. I'm honored that it found you. Really, really. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great, and I hope that more people can find it through this show, and more people can read it. Because I think it's definitely helping people out. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream now. Everybody have a good one. Thank you for being here.
Boom. Love you guys.
Nice chat.
Stay
with you guys.
real. What?
All right, and then so I'm ending the stream, and then